another app-driven partner for kindness.
Palantir.
I don't know. Hey, let's stand for the pledge, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So our Jefferson County Local Development Corporation called order. We've done our pledge, privilege of the board. Doesn't appear to be any guest with that. Someone can speak. Minutes, page 3, if they've been received and reviewed. So we have a first. I think I might have heard a second. Yes. Very good. Any comments? Questions? Okay. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. Minutes stand as presented. Paul, page 5. You had like 30 seconds to prepare.
No, I've had more than 30 seconds.
No, I meant since the meeting started.
Oh. Well, everything looks in order, but I had several questions that I've been asking Lyle about on the balance sheet. If you look at the month-to-month balance sheet, the last 4 in the Jcldc assets, there's like huge swings month to month. And just was asking Lyle why and what. I mean, one of them is LHI record storage, and then it shows up as a prepaid expense this month. So I guess I don't understand. Could be that I've not dealt with those last 4, but other than that, everything looks in order for the LDC's financials. And as soon as Lyle gets a chance to explain, we'll share it with everyone what those are. And that would be it, unless there's other questions.
Motion to accept your report.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? It does look like when you look at the balance sheet, the allowance for credit losses is positive 1 month and negative the other. So I think those are a big swing in the balance sheet, as well as receivables.
And there's the one for the receivables. I thought they were for pilot monies received, but he says that's not the case. So we'll figure it out. Maybe next month we'll have an answer for that.
The bottom line is a smaller change, but you're correct. It does.
Yeah.
It's certainly not the same number every month. And it unfortunately keeps going down instead of going up.
Strategic Consulting, is that our Micron group?
Yes. Any other questions or comments on the treasurer's report and what's in the packet? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? The report is accepted. Moving to J. I think you're always number 1. At least at this meeting. At least at this meeting.
Well, you sent me. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. First, I want to share with the group that received notification from the New York State Agricultural Society that Homestead Fields Farm, LLC, has received the Centennial Farm Award. And Mr. Waldriff and his family have earned that award for the past 100 years. They've been operating and are one of the most respected farms in Jefferson County. So want to say congratulations to Ed and his family for receiving that.
Amazing.
Congratulations.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
You don't look that old, man.
Then at the same time, I'll mention that I was down at got invited down to the Dairy Day at the State Fair. It's a big shindig they have on Dairy Day, a breakfast, awards breakfast with the commissioner and a whole bunch of other folks from the dairy industry. And they give out a lot of awards they have a judging contest, a statewide judging contest for dairy products. Great Lakes Cheese, and I think I sent out a press release or something on this. Great Lakes Cheese wiped up the awards that they were in. One category, they took first, second, and third. They took first in every category they were in. HB Hood did well as well with their cultured dairy products. So testament to the quality of milk we have here in Jefferson County and also to the processors that take that milk and make it into something. And I did promptly send that to Southern Dairy and to the other dairy processing companies we've talked to here in the recent past about locating in Jefferson County. There's nothing speaks more clearly than when our processors are winning awards for what they
It's a nice testimonial.
It certainly is, certainly is. Southern Dairy is very active in their site approval process. They did take trips to other states last month, but we continue to work hard to try to attract them to Jefferson County. You'll be hearing a lot more over the next 2 months about Southern Dairy, so keep your eyes open for emails from me on opportunities to say hello. So Southern Dairy is progressing well.
Jay, have they narrowed, should they come, do you know their preferred site right now?
They have one site in Jefferson
Just one
County.
site they're really active.
If they come,
Yeah.
they have that one
Know
site.
that site.
So, and then building off of that, I think I mentioned it at the last meeting. I'll mention it again because it's grown since the last meeting. Our dairy workforce focus group that is focusing on trying to build the pipeline of workforce for dairy farms and dairy processors. We had our second meeting here recently. It is amazing the attention that is getting from across New York State now. Just about any agency that has anything to do with ag workforce development in the state is paying attention or serving on that group. So that puts a little pressure that we actually have to do something. But I'm excited. I think that we can accomplish some good things, and it is critically important. I've already heard from some of our processors that they're feeling the pressure from Fairlife and actually Great Lakes Cheese out in Franklinville on their employees. So last night, Jefferson County Farm Bureau had a policy discussion meeting. Assemblyman Ken Blankenbush, Assemblyman Scott Gray were there. We had some great discussions on different things happening in New York State and what policies should be on how to handle or how to try to stave off some of that legislation. So in October, they'll have their annual meeting, and that's where the membership for Farm Bureau votes on those policies and passes them up to the state level. And I think that's enough time. I will answer any questions.
I see Franklinville got some bad news this week or last week.
Yeah, their way handling system has some problems. Did result in the release to local waterways and did result in a fish kill, major fish kill. So they've got some work to do because they had to shut down their production for it. So
What's that do to the milk producers when they have to shut down herds?
the short term there may have been, and I don't know that this actually happened, but very short term, maybe some milk dumping at farms that are close by the supply. But usually the system very quickly absorbs that milk and shifts it to other locations. So, yeah, but that was very
That was
problematic.
the plant John worked on, right?
Yeah.
It's too bad.
Any other questions for me?
Manufacturing, marketing, new order new.
Yes, so on the manufacturing side, we're working, Robin and I and all the other educational entities in the Tri-County region really, on Manufacturing Day, which is probably our premier event of what we're doing from a educational standpoint. As you, I'm sure, remember, Manufacturing Day is where we bring the high school students primarily, Robin, 9th and 10th graders
Yeah,
in,
yep.
in bringing them to the different manufacturers throughout the 3 counties and doing tours and giving everyone a handle on hopefully a career in manufacturing. Last year it was over 2,000 students. This is an outstanding event that we work hard on, and Robin's really been taking the lead on it, and thank you for that. We have reached out to manufacturers and all of we kind of refer to them as hosts. The hosts have been excited about participating, and as I said, we're excited about the program. I don't know if you have any additional comments on that. And our manufacturing alliance program that we had the month before last, I think we touched on it a little bit last meeting, was a real success. And I want to thank some of our elected officials for coming to that and participating. On the marketing side, we continue with all of our usual campaigns, but I have had a number of discussions recently with Strategic Development, who is our Micron marketing firm, and been talking about some different events that we might be attending here in the near term, as well as updates on how that project is moving forward. There have been a number of I wouldn't even really classify them as hiccups per se, but this is a enormous project, as we all know, with enormous environmental issues for one, and getting that all squared away is quite a project as we all know from the environmental piece and regulatory stuff. So really, those are the key things that I wanted to touch on. I don't know if Robin has anything else that.
Everything, we're good.
But yeah, thank you. Any
On
questions?
manufacturing days, some of the hosts, I know a couple of them have interns, maybe not presently because they're at college or
Yeah.
what have you. Is it in the past, have the interns been present? Actually, maybe more, they're kind of more generationally close
Yes.
to the students.
Yeah.
Have they been able to speak with or been present?
Yes, they have.
Okay, good.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then kind of another thing, not necessarily through our agency, but what could be fun for the students is think of some contest of as they see things, maybe there's some ideas that they can give to the host that might actually win some sort of an award, whatever, $100, I mean, whatever's realistic.
Yeah.
I mean, to actually see if some of the students can absorb what they're looking at, and they look at things differently. They're not constrained by the same set of rules as an employee.
Totally. Open minds.
Just a couple things to maybe make it more challenging and more fun.
Yes. One thing, and I will say also.
Just don't award everyone that shows up.
Yeah, not everybody. Everybody gets a.
I'm not in these show award category.
One thing that we've really, and we harp on this every year, is making the hosts talk about, describe, show the kids, how do you get a job there, and what this job entails. A lot of it has turned in. When we first started, there was a nice classroom piece to it where everybody was sort of attaching the job to a career pathway to being employed there, and then that's kind of evolved into tours, and they bring value. They totally do. But what I really want the hosts to talk about is how do you get a job there? What sort of prerequisite? Is it making sure that you have a summer job, a resume? And we've also talked about aligning all of our workforce programming, whether it be Cheryl's shop with Career Jam, and also the Workforce Connections, which is the interviewing piece that they put on, and Manufacturing Day. And I feel like I'm missing one other piece, but so that it's a sort of a contiguous program on how to put these folks, these kids in the workforce and help them with things like resume building, interview skills, summer jobs, so that they have something to really as a backbone to their resume, and make them well prepared for a future. But that's one thing that we're really focusing on this year is showing them a pathway to getting the job, not just, hey, look at this is the inside of the New York Fair Brick, which is always interesting.
No, that's a great idea because the career jam starts with 8th graders.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Then you go through your 9th, 10th graders through your program.
Mhm.
I think the juniors are left out, but then seniors are at work. Well, I used to call it Workforce 2020, but Workforce Connections.
Connections, yeah.
They're resident, yeah, but you're kind of building, because even at the career jam, you've got all your things set up and you're explaining some of that.
Yeah.
Most of them just like to, take the candy and look at the goggles, but they're 8th grade. But
Yeah.
but then you do run into a few that they're interesting,
And I think you back that up with the educational path too. Like, okay, so
100%.
if you really like this, then these are the things that you should be looking at when,
Yes.
whether it's a BOCES program or whether it's, formal higher education. So I think you also have to link it with the educational path too.
And then there's the opportunity too, where in the business world is to push into schools a little bit, get invited into schools and talk to the students, about, and put up your slides. How do you get to this? How do you get to what we provide? And so we try to do that too. I'm sure you guys do too. But it's, because we've got to start building our workforce.
We do.
This region and keep them here. So,
We
That's a
want
great idea.
a streamlined, holistic program that
Yes.
is preparing kids for a future in manufacturing or whatever it is, honestly.
Great, anything else?
Just put my observation, the key to getting from where we are into those schools, a lot of times centers around guidance counselors.
Yes.
And if a school's got a good program, it's like they're out there connecting the kids to scholarships or connecting them to job opportunities. But I'm sorry, for every good one, there's 2 that are,
Not so great.
the program.
Inexperienced.
The program is a roadblock almost.
It is.
Yeah, and they're under a lot of pressure, the guidance counselors, but they have been our way in to these schools, frankly. And the guidance counselors are the ones that BOCES are reaching out to directly and focusing on.
They
Yeah,
do become the gatekeepers though.
They
It's-
absolutely
I've
are.
been to those meetings and it's a tough meeting to go to.
Yeah, and I don't want to beat the dead horse, but they they're more counseling children now that are having issues. It's like the job has changed for them. They almost need career counselors now in the schools.
They
But
do.
I
I
do agree with you.
Reaching out to some of those specific classes and getting into those classrooms, reaching out to the teachers and making those connections are actually more effective.
True.
Then they come back to the guidance counselor and say, look, we did this, we want to do more of this, and kind of, so you get two-way push from that guidance counselor.
If I might, I think one of the things that we need to do, and I've been thinking about this with the dairy workforce group, but haven't had a chance to bring it to the group yet, is how do we get around all of that? How do we talk directly to the students? And especially in agriculture. Agriculture, we built an image that isn't always that favorable to attracting students into the industry unless they're already on the farm. So how do we change that image? And I think the same applies for manufacturing to a large degree. How do we get directly to those students? And I think that is by reaching out to them where they are.
Yeah.
Social media forums and the non-traditional marketing avenues. I think we've got to start to do that. With agriculture, we absolutely have to do that because unfortunately we've hurt ourselves with the image of 24/7, 365, dirty, hard work. And that's not necessarily what the industry is anymore. And we've got to change that image and reach directly to the students to do so.
Good discussion. Page 21, Rob. Robin, I think you usually lead this part of the ARPA.
Working on, not knocking on doors, calling the people who had awarded their grants, so they're working on getting it. It was coming down near the end of it, so I see that next year we'll have this all wrapped up.
Okay.
Any questions?
So we have about 300,000 from round one that rolls into round two, or?
That's correct. You see, if you look on page 22, the second line carries over the 300,000. But we've been utilizing it, because if you look at the bottom, we're about 254.
Okay.
Yep. Because we
So
kinda-
the net balance. is-
Yeah, we kind of over allocated small business and local food resiliency, because we knew we had extra money coming over from round one. So, yeah, so we're using it, and it's winding down. We'll definitely be having it wind down by next year.
And whatever's unallocated, does it have to roll the general funds, or can we reserve it for an ARPA style grant program?
That's a
For
Ryan and
next
Bill
year,
We're gonna
question.
talk about that.
Okay, perfect.
When's the last time, I remember we did or you guys did, the presentation to the legislators during a session
Mhm.
about this program? Right?
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, is there plans maybe to do that again at the end, or do you guys normally do that? I don't.
That was a,
That was I would say it was a one-off,
Yeah.
but we certainly at any time can discuss where we're at with any of these ARPA grants. We have, thanks to Robin and Peg and really the whole staff and keeping this stuff together. And it's a little bit tricky, but it's not over.
It's an
We can
amazing
cross the boards.
program, and with the new county manager, I think it'd be a good opportunity at some point to.
And the leveraged funds, I mean, this is a good story. I mean, the leveraged funds on these grant programs, really, they tell the story on how beneficial this program has been.
Just this year,
Agreed.
what was it, 2020, this is 2024, we dispersed 900,000, if I get my numbers right, 900,000, but we leveraged 1.8.
Yeah, I think it was, maybe it's a little bit more.
More
It
than
was
that.
it was a wonder. I mean, we've had programs that are getting $10,000 in grant programs, but the project is nearly $100,000. And so, I mean, it's, and we talked to them, they're like, boy, I was sort of on the fence on doing the project, but, this is where it made sense for us.
This last one, Greg's Plumbing Heating, or Greg's Drainage, bought a $50,000 backhoe and 10. So there's 40,000 that he's leveraged to it.
The rental, the access and the rental, is that being rolled over into?
Yes, the excess of the rental and went into small business productivity and into the childcare.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's where those,
Yeah.
everything excess went into that, and then the food resiliency pulled over in itself.
This is where it gets a little bit tricky, and I need to make this, and I'm sorry to interrupt.
No,
Robin,
please
if you had
do,
something.
please do.
From a non-allocated funds, what is that number, Robin? It's extremely small.
Oh, 254,000.
Yeah, considering the breadth of the program.
That's sort of the 4.5 million from round one, and 1.3, so it's 4, 5, 6 million. We only have unallocated 254,000. So we get awarded most of these grants. Now we're dispersing them.
It's a good success story.
There's 250,000 that has yet to be
Attached to a
attached
project.
or dispersed.
Yeah.
Right,
Some of it's
attached
excess
to,
funds that the grant didn't collect all their amounts, and that was a small amount.
Yeah.
Any other questions on ARPA? New business and council, I don't think there are either. Hearing none, ask for an adjournment, please. So moved. We have a first and a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? We stand adjourned and move to our next meeting.
Can you give a quick second?
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Jefferson County
Later.
Industrial Development
See you,
Agency meeting, September 4th, 2025. We'll call this meeting to order. We have already done our pledge. Privilege of the floor. None. Minutes, page 3, if they've been received and reviewed, ask for motion to accept them as presented. So moved. First, Bill.
Second.
Second, Paul. Any other discussion on minutes? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any abstaining or opposed? The minutes are accepted as presented. Treasurer's report, page 8, Paul. Now, Rosen.
First, I'll go to Marshall's email from last night. Did we get a new application for Walnut 2, or is that something we received in a previous year?
This is a new application.
We're gonna discuss that.
Well, it doesn't show. I was just going to make highlight, we may actually have our first application and process fee of the year, so.
We do. Yep.
But it doesn't show up in this month. Other than that, I'm not going to beat the dead horse on what the revenues on the pilot leaseback fees at this point. Hopefully something can change. The balance sheet looks normal. I don't have the same questions that I had on the previous agency's balance sheet. We're continuing along collecting some of the payments from delayed or delinquent. I don't like using the word delinquent because they're making an attempt to pay. And if you look at the 90 days, there's no real surprises there. It's 3 Mile Bay and Conval. And other than that, everything is cruising along much like the last several months. Not the best news with the pilot leaseback fees. We're not going to make those budget estimates or our application fees most likely. So, and I make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? I have 2 points to make. We could also make it under unfinished business. We had 2 loans in default, under RLF, Conval and LCO Destiny. Just a quick update. So LCO Destiny is tied up into multiple closings. So our funds are coming from other properties, and it was supposed to close last month, because one of the companies involved in the closing, that's not LCO Destiny, I'm not gonna name their name, they were using an international bank. That didn't go so well, so now they're using a regional bank. I don't know what the status is, but hopefully their balance sheet is strong enough and the loan will go through quite quickly, and that's where our funds are actually coming from. So not to get into too many complications, we can go into executive sessions and I can name names and give dollars, but that's the summary of it. So it's a secured, a very secure company that is funding the payment of this lien and mortgage from LCO Destiny. And we hopefully expect something to happen within this month. I can't really say much more in the public on that. And that's that update. So if there's questions, we can reserve executive session later, or if there's questions we feel comfortable asking and answering in public, we can do that now. And then I'll update you on Conval. Next. Okay, our second default, Conval Energy. We have updated our council has been our mediary of brokering the repayment process. That's going, as I understand, amicable. I don't think we have an update from Justin or Dave differently.
No.
That's going. There's dollar amounts being collected, assembled, payment times, et cetera. So it's going amicable. I don't know where this will turn out. It is still an ongoing. We did file a, do we call it a lawsuit? Is that the right term?
Yeah.
Okay. So we did file a lawsuit in Jefferson County. We got a judgment. So we do have certain rights, but we're trying to settle this outside of that and not go the legal route. We're trying to do the amicable route.
Just to be clear, we have not received a judgment.
Okay, sorry. I thought we did on the first one.
No.
My mistake. Thank you for the update on that. So that's really what we can disclose in public. If we need to go into executive session and get into these in either of these, we certainly can. The first matter, LCO, will clean up quite quickly and we'll get all of our money. The second matter, I don't know. It's a lottery. I think we will get the substantial amount of our money, but it may take months to years. But it's certainly not dead and over. No. Okay. Drink your coffee and cheer up. We have a first and a second. Any other discussion on the treasurer's report? All in favor to accept it, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? The motion carries. Committee reports. Paul, anything for alternative energy?
Not really, other than I was asked to come to an assessors association meeting to talk about the evaluation process for solar facilities today.
All right, and I know you gave me a comment, when we get to the resolution for Wilna, you had a comment about
I
some of
had
the
a
closing.
bunch of comments.
Well, you had at least one comment that, and we can reserve that to what you.
Well, back to the solar real quickly. The October, as you recall, we talked about how the valuation model was declared unconstitutional. The state got a stay until they tried to perfect their appeal of that decision. That appeal, as I read it, is sometime in October. And depending on how that goes, there is a bill that's passed the Senate and the Assembly that hasn't been delivered to the governor yet. And we should hope that does not happen. Because it adds host community benefits as expenses. It's going to remove things like renewable energy credits and possibly the community credits from the revenue stream, and it'll dramatically reduce the values, is the concern. And so I don't know which way to hope it goes, whether the original model's declared constitutional, because that'll create a higher assessed value at the end of the day than at the new bill that's being proposed. In other words, they're using taxation in a way to make these projects feasible. They're requiring us to underwrite them with lower taxes.
Anybody go, was there a solar meeting in Shimon here last week? There's kind of like an actor.
There was AES was supposed to have a community outreach session that they're all required to have on the new one there. I forget the name of the new one, Bill. It's a big one. It's 150.
Yeah, it was Bay Grease and they changed it to limestone.
Right.
It's next week, right? Because we're
Ninth, I think, is that one, and then there's one, I think, some sort of informational one on the.
It's just
16th.
been to a couple of them. They'll have pictures. They'll have
Just a dog and pony show.
Yeah. It's not going to be anything. And they're kind of hard to predict because on all these, we don't know what the lease pay. To try to estimate what the market value of these will be is you can't do it because you don't have enough information until they're way, way down the line. So.
It's my understanding now, correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as the tax credits, federal tax credits for solar, any projects that get permitted between now and the end of the year, they will include them in the retro criteria of being able to capture the tax credits. Is that what?
I believe you're correct. My understanding.
So first it appeared that anything that's permitted, that's the cutoff, but now that it appears if you get permitted between now. So to me, when I look at that project in Shimon, do you think that will get permitted between now and the end of the year?
No.
I would doubt it highly.
I don't even think they're in the ORES queue yet.
Yeah.
As a pending project, but we have 3 permitted large-scale utilities already in this county.
Does the permitting process include the local zoning permit or just?
There is no local zoning.
There is no
permit.
local zoning permit. ORES approves it.
Okay.
The other thing is,
Oh, that's right. These are big ones. I forgot. This is a bigger one.
Yes.
New York Power Authority has put out their proposed vision for alternative energy now, and they've listed projects where they're talking about either the agency buying projects or doing joint ventures. And the first or second one in their list is the one in Hounsfield and Watertown, the Boralex project.
And Paul, they are quietly revising that document. So if you go online and take a look at it, it's different than what it was. More projects have been added to the list.
Yeah, there's like 10 pages of projects. And the limestone one is that all these ones that even haven't made ORES yet are in there too. Where do we have a wind tower? Sugar Maple's in it. I think the wind project in Worth is in it too.
So the three permitted commercial solar projects right now, which ones are they?
Riverside, Boralex, and Tracy.
Which one is the champion?
Sugar Maple is Wilmot and crosses into Denmark.
And that's part of, which was that part of the sugar, or of the three, which one were they under?
AES.
I don't think they're permitted yet. Sugar Maple's not permitted. I think they're just waiting approval. I can check while we're going through things.
So do you think they'll make that? They're far enough in that process, they may make it to before the end of the year? Permitting?
All the projects were permitted began in 22 or 23, I
Right.
think. So.
Well,
Try
I
to
think
get
the
an
reason
answer.
I ask is I think you got a pretty clear picture of on the playing field of what our possibility for any kind of pilot tax income will be. And then the door is shut.
If
Well,
they
let's
lose
not
the
rely only
renewable
on
energy
solar
credit, the
projects.
pressure will be
Here
greater
for
for
economic
us.
development,
Well,
not
this-
energy generation.
That's what we're talking. Energy.
I know we're talking about energy, but like we think that's the gravy train, and it's not.
No, that's
It's
what I
taking
say.
money out of one taxation pot and putting it into here.
We'll take that meal though.
Look, I'm crazy too, but let's not make that our only pillar
No.
of collection of economic development.
Sugar Maple's listed as an incomplete application, so it's highly doubtful they're going to be anywhere near permitted by the end of the year.
But I do think it's important, in my opinion, that the IDA assert itself into these projects early and often, because in the absence of that, they are going to run around to every other jurisdiction and try to sprinkle those community agreements
Mhm.
and things that, are gonna reduce the overall tax, agreement that is negotiated. So I think,
And if they use host community payments as an expense, there's only one jurisdiction most likely that's going to benefit, and all the other jurisdictions are going to suffer with a lower valuation coming out. So if the town's getting a host community agreement, they're going to have a lower assessment, but an additional revenue stream. But the county and the schools are not going to have the additional revenue. They're just going to have a lower taxable base.
precisely, which is why I think, the IDA is the vehicle to get everybody on board in a fair way. But, the IDA has to be at the table day one, asserting, themselves into the process. Otherwise, these guys are gonna continue to run around to all the different jurisdictions and make separate deals, which is what we don't want.
Well, we can't have them doing what happened in the 3 school districts here is school districts holding them hostage and then opting it into the law for 15-minute meeting, getting their sweetheart deal and leave everyone else hanging. I mean, that's what we gotta try to stop, because currently there's only 1 or 2 school districts that recognize the 487 real property tax exemption.
Well, I know we're retracing ground here, but I went to the school districts, all of them, and told them what our plan was, and they all said, thank you. They don't want to be dealing with these solar companies individually. So they're looking for the leadership to step up. Yes.
As we get closer to the finish line, the window closing on new renewable energy projects, as you sift through the evaluation model, do you see the county's insistence on 100% evaluation stopping or starting any one of those 3 on the table right now?
I'm afraid if the amendments to the law are $5,500 will exceed full taxation. So I don't know is if full taxation is going to be an impediment.
That's my question, as of from the models right now.
Now, if the rec credits stay in, if they ever come back in, yes, I do see it being. Rec credit is a huge amount of money to these guys, as is the community credit to the community solar projects.
Marshall, to Brian's point, have we considered or have we completed There's only a few projects, letters to the project leadership, the towns, schools, and the villages, explaining that we will be the ones that will discuss any taxation package. Please cease and desist. I mean, my own words, but have we taken that attempt
We
to
have
actually
not.
notify everyone
No,
that come to us, don't do your own deal?
no, we've,
It sounds like we'd have the county support.
yes, and it sounds to me like that will be our next
But
move
I
here.
think we can, I don't know if it's a letter Justin has to write, but I think writing a well-crafted letter to explain that, welcome to Jefferson County. I think we're pro-energy, pro-renewable, any taxation package will come through this agency.
Yeah.
And see us.
That's really where there's been a change, because in these first couple of years of these things, it was like they knew to come to us first on a number of these larger projects
Well,
to
when
discuss.
you're an obstacle in the way of expedience, you tend to go around obstacles.
Yeah.
So that's just my observation.
But we have, as we become aware of them, we do reach out to them, and frankly, in case of the sugar maple one, I mean, you know, I feel like I'm a little bit of, I don't know if I'd say pulling teeth, but you know, there's a little bit of that.
But I think not only the developer, the school, the village,
Everybody, yeah.
town, I don't think we need to notify the county, but they can certainly get a copy of the letter. And I think just explaining that we're the agency that has been requested by the county to negotiate and give any taxation.
I like that idea, and the timing, I think, is right, as we're getting closer to the finish line,
Mhm.
you know, for getting those projects shovel ready.
Just if I can, you know, you said finish line. These things are going to continue, but you know, regarding that permitting piece, I do see them. I mean, it's just in the last month we've had some new discussions come up on these things. So you know, while I do see there being a race to the end of the year, there's going to be, you know, continuing of these projects past that as well. So I did want to just make sure that that's like, this isn't going to stop on now.
See, I don't,
You don't believe that?
I don't, because the lines are full, unless there's gonna, you know, unless we're gonna start plugging down.
You mean the transmission lines? Yes.
The ability to,
That's a whole other. Yeah.
and you can't, the people that know don't wanna share it.
Well, we beat this horse and I think it's dead. Building and grounds. John, I guess, update us and then we have a resolution.
So we had a meeting to consider the request for an easement. The committee reviewed it and recommended that we have our attorney give his input and prepare a resolution for the board's consideration at this meeting.
Justin, would you like to comment at all on the write-in easement?
Good morning. Nothing to add. Really, we set it up as a condition easement. They expect to secure site plan and seeker approval from the town planning board Monday evening. And it'll probably take a week or two to get the final drafts finalized and ready for execution. So this will allow that all to proceed with your approval today.
Okay. So this was a late addition, some of it was a late addition to our packet. The resolution, the map has been previously circulated, but there's some additional maps and survey language in here that I think were all sent last evening. But this was not a new subject. As John indicated, it was discussed in building and grounds public session. So it really is, it says page 1, but this is page, I guess, 26. Technically, of our packet, because it's additional. Authorizing resolution, Jefferson County Court Park, grant of turning lane easement. Resolution number 09.04.2025.01, resolution of the Jefferson County Development Agency, authorizing the condition disposition of a certain turning lane easement as more particularly described herein for the benefit of Onondaga Development LLC, and authorizing the negotiation, execution, and delivery of documents and agreements in connection with the same. Couple whereas clauses. Second one cites it's off of 12F. And the third whereas clause, the maps exhibit A. where's the condition part there somewhere, so. The top of page 2, the town of Watertown Planning Board is acting as lead agent, so it's conditioned upon seeker and et cetera, as Justin just indicated, manual approval. What wasn't mentioned is not in here. All legal fees are being paid by the grantee,
Yes.
not us, the grantor. That's the high points of the turning lane easement. So a motion, or is that a question?
Well, you need a motion
I was gonna
first.
ask a motion.
Okay,
Yeah. So is that you first?
I'll make the motion. I don't have
We
a
have a
problem.
Second?
Okay.
Here's my question. We have a site plan. And I'm gonna beat a dead horse here.
Go ahead.
We have a permanent easement for sign placement for Mr. Samail, and it does not show on that site plan. I think we should request it to be shown on the site plan. I'm looking at the site plan for Jimmy John's, whatever, it's Circle K.
Oh, okay, I don't have that.
It does show on the one, Dave. I agree with you,
Shows
but
on the land surveyor.
we show an easement that looks like it's a water line easement. It'd be nice to know on this overall site plan where our easement is. But other than
You're
that,
talking about this one that shows all
Yes.
the plat of the
Yes.
developments. Okay.
so on
Does it
what,
show the
on
underground
what
cable?
we're, Dave, on the map that we're transferring, you're right, it does show that, but it doesn't show it on the one in front of the planning board. I don't know if that's something we should worry about or not, but
John, would that be considered important?
I personally know that may be something the planning board may want to note
Okay.
with
I
your final
still have a
review.
problem. I don't have a problem.
But what's going to be filed is what is shown on what was submitted.
I know.
So, yeah,
So it is on that.
it is,
It's on one of the two documents.
right. But it's pretty typical for the site plan
I think
drawings that
planning
come from
board
the
should
engineers
know.
to have, I guess call them,
Is that, we just need to make sure that Circle K is not building anything on our easement.
Right.
Well, the planning board should know that there's certain rights that is limitation across certain parts of the land.
Right.
We could sell it back to him for 50,000.
It's not a bad idea. But I'm just saying that
But you're right, Paul.
we need to make sure that our, right now, we don't have the approval to put a sign there. Someday we may,
Right.
and we may want to do it. So that would be it. And I have no problems with granting the turning lane easement.
Is your motion asking for the,
No, it's
what
just
else,
a
the guidance
suggestion.
site plan to be improved?
I would think that'd be a request that should come from the planning board if they want it. I
Okay.
think we should do nothing more than maybe suggest that there's an easement missing and
Right.
if
Point it
the
out to
planning
them.
board doesn't care.
I agree. Planning board needs to see
Yeah.
this.
Hopefully they get the whole packet.
Right.
For what we're transferring, that document is adequate. And I just want to ask one, you said if this project gets denied, the transfer doesn't occur.
It's contingent upon the site plan.
Right.
Okay,
approval.
very good.
So is it my understanding the only monetary transaction going on here is the $1,000 for?
No, it's about 1,000. It's not a.
It's about, it's all
And
our
that would be
expenses.
paid whether the transfer. occurs or
Strictly
not,
just the
If
expenses.
we're settling
To be
legal
determined.
fees.
All right.
Any other questions on this subject? Peggy, is this a roll call? I forget.
Yes.
Yes, okay, please.
Rob,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
John,
Yes,
Bill,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Paul.
Yes,
Sounds like it passed. Okay, we talked about an executive session. If there are questions about what we discussed earlier, if we need to go into executive session, I'd rather move it to after next and final resolution. Is there a need for an executive session to get more details? We good? Okay, new business, I guess, the last matter before us is the second last minute addition to the packet, which I guess is page 30 or something. I don't know what page number it would be. I guess an initial question. is there a reason we just didn't bother going through loan review on this?
No good reason. This again was another last minute addition. This is just a approval of accepting the application. And then we will, providing that it pleases the board to move forward with that, we will begin digesting the application itself.
I mean, we still have this thing, right, to review everything, but we have no cost benefit analysis. We're really just not sure why we're rushing. I guess, other than we got it by the.
Well, this, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
this project's been languishing out there for how
It has.
long?
2 years, maybe?
I did the cost benefit analysis in November of 22.
Did we ever see it?
The seeker was done in May of 24. I guess my point is, you've heard me talk about, we've got Houndsfield that we approved, they still haven't closed on that. You know, they've gone all the way where it's just a matter of closing. We've done all we can do except for getting the final documents. I mean, if we're gonna move forward with this one, I think we need to put a deadline of, let's say, you know, payment of the agency fees within 45 days of our final, of approving. Or, you know, this has been out there. We don't need these guys getting everything in place and going and selling this project to another developer, which we have. How many have we had to see new people come in over the years?
A number.
Justin, I'm asking you, is there a problem with putting a deadline for the payment of our pilot fees upon once? How long does it take you to get from our last action to when you actually close?
Well, it depends. And a lot of that is gated by the status of the project, permitting, their financing. You know how these things, especially on the community scale size, they tend to flip around in terms of ownership. So requiring the agency fee to be paid in 45 days of approval, if they happen to close on the trade lease, the pilot, you'd be asking them to pay for nothing. And the possibility of them never closing would still be relevant. So whatever resolution already includes is an agent status period where we give about 12 to 24 months to complete the project, at which time their agent status lapses, and we mirror that in the agent agreement. But as you know, if they don't close, and it often goes 2 or 3 years before they'll even close, and how do you close that loop to make sure that there's a shorter leash on getting to the finish line? Enhancing the IDA resolutions to include closing within a reasonable period of time, as you suggest. I wouldn't start with charging the fee, but rather saying, listen, this is no good after a certain date, not just the agent status. In each case, we could maybe do something like 6 months, so they're on notice. And in case they are going to transition equity ownership, in case their ground lease is still fluid, sometimes their ground leases are still being negotiated or need to be amended, revised. Sometimes interconnect with the utility might take 6 months or a year, 2 years. Having a reasonable period of time, like 6 months, I think would be a good starting point to put a leash on some of these. And if they want to reopen their approval, I think it's reasonable at that point to say, listen, there's an extension fee the IDA is going to charge, not your full administrative fee that is paid in connection with the assistance and the closing, but rather pay, much like your assignment fee of $2,000, which honestly should be more. Maybe there's a closing or approval extension fee that is meaningful.
Yeah.
$10,000, $20,000. If they want to keep going, pay, and we'll be happy to extend, but there's going to be an extension fee that is meaningful that will motivate them to close, as opposed to just keeping the extension button. If that makes sense.
If this project was just coming to us right out of the gate,
First time.
but this thing has been out there for 2.5 years. So do you have,
The Wilna PV project that you approved, it's confusing. You approved Wilna LLC, which was, I think, on one side of the street. They didn't close with you, and I think they built either without a pilot or went stuck in 47 pilots. It never closed. If that developer, Rick Development, either sold the project, abandoned it, I don't know. What happened was they've come to us for another project, a 3 megawatt deal, like down the road or across the street. This is a completely different project coming out of the same developer team initially. So this is a different project. What happened though was we were spun up on their approval, and they actually came to us for an assignment request in 2023 that died. And we had fees outstanding, and it was not going anywhere. That's the one that I think you're familiar with. The same developer came to us in the last 3 or 4 months with a completely different project, new application. And we said, well, hey, wait a minute here. You still got this kind of orphan sitting there on the books for the other project. Get us caught up on fees. And they did. And now they've submitted this application, and we're considering acceptance of it, which is just the starting point. They got lawyer instructions for the IDA yesterday, and I think Lyle and Marshall have been watching the bank through 5 o'clock yesterday, and will continue to do so today to make sure that the application fee is received. The concept here was to get this on the agenda today, to at least start the process.
okay. So if we were, so I guess I could live with a 6-month deal. Could we, do you need direction from the board to put that type of language in the documents that?
It'd be part of it. When I read it, we can add it in.
We can put a disclosure in the application, which I think would be good practice.
But how would we do that with this? If we were to read the resolution, could we just simply instruct council to add some additional language to put a time bar on this? Or do we have to actually state that out loud, what the time bar is?
Right. Well, the resolution you have today is partly specific to this project. It isn't a general policy of the agency. What I would suggest is if you want to create this new policy for closure over a payment penalty or extension fee to keep going, that can be done with a quick amendment to the application, put in a paragraph. And then any resolution that I prepare for project authorization going forward, and it could include this project, once we get past the public hearing and are prepared to approve, it would have a condition in it saying, hey, your project's approved, but if you don't close within 6 months, it'll be subject to the IDA standard policy of an extension payment that will be payable.
Okay.
And if that payment isn't made, there will be some billing notices and some things like that that would have to be done on the staff side. The authorization passed. It becomes null and void.
For the policy change, why don't we ask Alternative Energy to work with council?
Why don't we ask staff to work with Justin to provide us suggested language to work into our application?
Okay, and then we can just look at that at the next coming board meetings to change that policy. We had talked about a couple things. Also, not only a time bar, but having, like, did we actually get the application fee? We're giving an inducement.
Yeah.
Okay.
So our plan is regarding that. It hadn't shown up on our wire as of 5 o'clock last night.
Okay.
If it doesn't show up today, then we're gonna rip it up. I mean, that's essentially
Not the check.
not. Well, the resolution approving it, because it's all based on us being paid our fee.
Okay.
And if we don't get paid our fee, then.
The second part,
doesn't
and this is
exist.
probably more of the general policy, for projects that languish for a period of time, we talked about either collecting some earnest money for legal fees up front, because we've gotten burnt before where we go through these to the end, we spend $18,000 of legal fees, and then they decide they don't want the benefit, and we're stuck holding back. So we do need to kind of close that loop as well. It hasn't been a problem with most of these projects, but it has occurred twice in the last year-ish.
So Justin, to do this second thing, to get earnest money, is that a UTEP change? Because we talked last month about revisiting our UTEP. Is that a UTEP or an application issue for earnest money to be held in escrow to cover legal bills?
That would be an application requirement that needs to be done. I know it was adjusted in the last year or two, but I'm thinking, a little higher, like 10,000 or something, would not only protect in the immediate sense, but it also has the effect of kind of pushing away prospectors and developers that are just looking to gather approvals that may never have an intent to close themselves. Kind of clears the prospectors, if you will. We could just amend the application to adjust that deposit amount, if that makes sense. And with regard to your UTEP, I did have a conversation, and this is probably broader for renewable energy committee. The county administrator, the county attorney, reached out on a couple solar pilot issues that certainly Paul and others are aware of, and I won't go down that road, but they also mentioned very positive things about the county administrator having reached out to several school districts and other